so excited. I have finally gotten something to work around here. So we're making charts on the iPad, and I've been making a route, and we did a fast seas, and I plotted out our chart based on the fast seas for every hour, as you can see here. And I've finally gotten it to actually synchronize with the chart plotter. And this is a huge step forward, because I have to tell you, I've tried this 100 times so far in the last 6 months, and the software has not worked. So I am thrilled. This is a big day for me, and I am so excited to make that work.
Well, here we are leaving Ceuta, and boy, it's a different day than it was yesterday, that's to be sure, because there were humongous waves breaking out here. And we have kind of a no anchoring zone over here, which is probably because that's just a monster lee shore, but nonetheless we're kind of giving the point a wide berth, and we're going to kind of take a turn to starboard and head out across the shipping channel, which I'm not real excited about, but it is what it is. Lovely hair.
Shush. I'd rather cut it all off, but then my husband would be very unhappy.
Oh, it's such pretty hair. I love it. Gibraltar over there, and a little bit of wind coming finally, filling the sails.
Bye, Ceuta. It's kind of fun being there, but we ended up being stuck for a couple of days more than we wanted to be, so I'm very happy that we've got a good weather window to get out of here. It's a little gray, but we're getting some wind finally. Now we're about an hour out and on our way to Cartagena, and hope we don't get rained on too much.
Yeah, definitely. A little unsettled weather patterns. The weather grid files and windy were changing a lot over the last 24 or 48 hours, and we're having a very difficult time deciding when we should leave. But today we woke up and it was pretty calm in the marina, and that was the best we'd seen in days, so it was time to go.
Okay, now we gotta keep an eye on that guy.
How close is he going to be?
He doesn't have a CPA yet, but he's going 3 knots. But he's now heading he's heading towards jib.
Yeah.
It's just that
keep an eye on him. I think we're going to go across his bow.
I'm because we just changed direction. Then this guy up here, we've got a half a mile on. This one's now no longer an issue, from what I can tell. This one, we've got a 3/10 of a mile on.
It's pretty far out still.
Yeah.
The second one says a mile, huh?
Yeah, mile 0.15.
Well, yeah, you want to steer to the nav to the next waypoint,
Okay.
though.
Yeah, I want to say.
Be careful. Watch that doesn't somebody
it's
try
gonna,
to turn the boat back to a previous waypoint or something.
yeah.
I think we made this guy change his course. Unfortunately, we didn't need to. The wind's picking up. You would think that with all of the ocean around, that there wouldn't be any risk or danger of collision, but it's not the case. I mean, every single one of these guys is on a collision course with us, it seems, all the time. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're dealing with.
Gibraltar Straits, baby.
Yeah, and there's Gibraltar back there. Heading down the coast.
We'll be getting some rain a little bit. Got just one or two ships still worried about, but I think we're out of the cone zone, as it were. So now we just gotta sail a long way.
Well, we are sailing. We've got a little bit of our main in just to try to keep the headsail powered. And this guy over here, he's just doing like 1 knot. I think just barely enough to keep himself in position. I suspect he's waiting to get into Gibraltar, and there's only so many ships allowed in the harbor or in the bay at any given time, so they have to kind of wait their turn. Seeing a approaching front, which we knew about, but on the backside of it is some really weird, like, doldrums and no wind at all. So we've reefed quite a bit. We're on the second reef in the jetty. Not that we couldn't handle more sail, but we're just concerned that the wind could pick up. I mean, already we're seeing this is apparent wind. If it's true wind, we're probably 33. This is our concern here, is watching the barograph drop so quickly. That's rarely a good sign. Yeah, it's great.
The storm caught us.
Luckily, we kind of thought that it would, and so we had reefed early. But we're still in danger of being jibed.
We're going away from our course a bit.
Yeah, we are deviating.
But that's all right. I will do that. Got plenty of room, plenty of time.
So barometer going back up. Here's what our weather looks like right now on radar. I've got it set at 24-mile range, and this is the front running right through there. That's the squall line that came past us. It looks to me to be moving away from us, which is good. On the back side of this, it was showing, almost calm, no wind or anything like that. So we don't know what we're really going to get here. We are heading offshore. This is our track here, and we're in order to not jibe, we've headed upwind in order to keep the sails from backing. So
we might be able to head a little more towards our course.
Okay, Wendy's telling us we might be able to make the correction.
Okay.
Yeah, Wendy's telling us that she thinks the wind is starting to come back onto the quarter like it was before. That would mean that we're able to head back toward Almirmar, which is kind of where we make the turn to go to Cartagena. So this is just the wonderful part of sailing. Believe me, this might look fun on video, but it's not. That might be a little loose though.
Yeah.
Just tighten it a hair more.
What?
Tighten it a hair more. The jib sheet.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, we finally have some decent weather on our sail to Cartagena, and we made it through a rather wet and uncomfortable night. Pretty roly-poly seas, and several storms came through. And now I finally have some beautiful weather. Got a nice calm sea behind us. This is the Cabo de Gato point, just outside Almeria. We've got a good 100 and some miles to go. Nautical miles, as Kevin always reminds me, up the coast. And we don't really expect to make landfall until late tonight. But right now, I get to play with our brand new sails. And I'm working on seeing just what I can make them do. So really, for the next hour or so, I'm just going to sit here and play with the jib and the main and see what I can do to figure out the best trim for the boat. I'm not going to play with the jib cars or anything because Kevin's taking a nap because we're doing shift on shift. But we're finally having some of the sailing that we've been looking forward to. So hope this keeps up for the rest of the day. Last night we had some pretty heavy winds and a lot of rain, and we sailed from 10 o'clock in the morning through the night, and we're still on our way to Cartagena, which we'll probably get to about 11 o'clock tonight. So it'll be close to 36 hours or so of sailing, maybe even longer. It might even be 48. We're getting pretty light winds today, so not moving along quite as quickly as we'd like. But I wanted to do a quick sidebar on clothing. As a woman, I get cold very, very easily, and so I find that a couple of things are really, really important to me. One is dry feet. I discovered that wearing deck shoes, if there's any sort of weather, means my feet will be soaked, and then when I am off shift and I'm trying to go to bed, my feet are so cold I can't even sleep. So I invested in some boots. My pants come over them. I wear them religiously. They're stupid looking, but boy, when I get out of them, I have dry feet. And I wear big thick socks, and I change them each shift so that I've got nice dry socks each time. Something else I do that's from skiing actually is I'm wearing a a number of layers, a lot of thin layers underneath. I've got several fleeces on, a windstopper fleece, a shirt fleece, and then a nylon shirt, and then I even have an undershirt on under that, so I've got about 5 layers on my top. And then on the bottom, I actually have on 2 pairs of thermals. One, when it was raining, just wasn't enough to keep the chill from the water off my legs. My pants keep me very, very dry, but I found putting 2 layers on really helped me feel much more comfortable. And then last, but certainly not least, gloves. These Gill gloves are great, but I've taken a page out of skiing, and I've brought hand warmers, which as a woman, I have to say, ladies, go out and buy yourself a box, because when your gloves are wet, you throw them in, they dry them out while they're sitting on the table, and then when you're wearing them, you got this little packet of warmth in your hands, and it is really comforting in the middle of the night. I tend to wear a ski hat and then my hood over my head. And my niece actually gave me this great hat that's got a little hole for the ponytail, so I've been wearing that for the last couple of days, and that's been awesome. So that's it on clothing.
I guess after last night's kind of rough weather, and sailing in absolutely moonless skies is always kind of weird. You hear waves coming, but you don't really see them. You kind of see if they're breaking. You see the kind of foaminess of it, but this is just ideal today. That's Spain over there on the coast, the southern tip of which cape is this?
Cabo de Gato.
Cabo de Gato.
It's, Almeria around the corner.
Yep.
And then next big city's Cartagena.
I wanted to call out something I thought was kind of interesting. That headland down there at the Cape is the land we came around, and we came around it on a broad reach, a port tack, so wind coming across our port rail, and then as we started up the coast here, the wind really started wrapping around the corner, and that's what we're seeing now. Wind's coming really from out there, and so we're back on another broad reach, but with the wind coming from the opposite direction. There's one reason for that happening, likely, is the wind literally wrapping around the corner. But also, what tends to happen in places that have arid, warm land masses, you'll get thermals, and the thermal happens. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now, when warm air rises offshore or inshore and starts sucking cool air into the bottom off of the ocean. So it creates a convection cycle, and so typically, like a lot of times at shore towns in the U.S. on the East Coast, you'll have afternoon breezes in the summer, and that's kind of how that happens. And here's kind of, I suspect, an example of it, because the further I go out here, the more really the better the wind is, and the more if I tried to stay on the same course inland that we had earlier, it would be really difficult to keep any type of boat speed going. Alright, get the babies out today. I'm gonna move the jump. So earlier I was talking about thermals, and then here, it's 6 o'clock or 6:15, and we've been just punching in additional points to starboard to try to stay with the wind, and the wind is definitely coming much more from the south now than it was earlier. And so we're thinking that that's the end of the thermal, and it's time to jibe. Enjoying ourselves.
We're having our sail in Cartagena.
Having our sail into Cartagena.
We get there about 2 a.m. I think, so we'll see what happens.
Sucks, but the weather window was such that we didn't have much of a choice. When we left, we just kind of had to go. So there's a lot of variables in this trip. Two full days.
Almost there.
Almost there.
Be happy when we're at the dock, able to just take a long sleep.
Yeah. Spanish shore at dusk. Sit down there. Beautiful weather. Well, we arrived last night. It wasn't something we could video because it was so dark. We arrived at 4 in the morning, and they gave us this nice spot. We're running the engine right now because we came into the dock and there was just a monster-sized oil slick here. It got on all of our lines and everything like that. It's not from us, that's for sure. But I'm running the engine now, trying to push it through and get it out of here. There's almost no tide in the Med, so that's kind of the problem that you run into with the marinas. They need to be kept clean. Yeah, but Talisman's loving it. The furler mechanism worked great. We furled the sail and unfurled the sail numerous times. The headsail's working great. The sails are in wonderful shape. Yeah, and this is Cartagena, Spain. There's a fort up there, a fantastic natural harbor, yeah. So we're settled in here for another couple of days at least, if not a week or two. We've got people to pick up the road in Alicante on the 23rd, so we have to be there for that. That was the big reason to make the push, get out here.